Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care now? We've been out and we've beat them by 3 goals to 0. We're adding in another excellent, convincing performance into the pantheon of results that we've had in this fixture over the last couple of seasons. And really, there wasn't too many surprises on the day from the first 11 to the style of play, but I do think we got a few early signs on the evolution that this Rodgers squad is going to take this season, especially for the transfer business. It's happened in and out. If you missed any of it, we did an analysis video. Are we now stronger coming out of the window on the channel? If you did miss it, we'll link it at the end of this video. But this video is all about the Derby match, the 3-0 win. What did we see? What did we learn? And what are we now going to expect going forward from this new Celtic squad? At any point in the video today, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We just smashed through 8,000 subscribers. Thanks very much to every one of you. But now we're on the march to 10 and we're going to do it. Get into the comment section in this one and let us know. Man of the match was obviously Callum McGregor. There's no argument or dispute here. But let me know who your standout player was on the day. And is there any talking points do you think that have flown right under the radar? I always look forward to catching the comment sections after the derby. It's always filled up with some great insight and contributions from you guys. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. We have been waiting for this game for weeks, since pre-season started to show up some early signs of significant progress, and then already as this season has began, we have went from strength to strength. We have been going up the gears. We have been moving this squad up the levels. We are now, especially now that this game is in the history books, we are now a bona fide clean sheet machine as it is right now, and the free scoring, free flowing attacking football that we've been playing is amongst the best that we've seen in recent years at Celtic. So it was a great game from start to finish without too many actual surprises, as it were, from an overview perspective. But when we look at the macro, when we look at the micro, we actually look at how this game shook out, there was actually a lot of interesting developments throughout the game in terms of how Rangers approached it, how Celtic counteracted it, and maybe how this post-Matt O'Reilly area might figure. I do think in terms of what Rangers tried to do a little bit differently in this game was they did try and keep a bit more of a focus on trying to get onto errors, trying to get onto mistakes. In the first 5 or 10 minutes, this boy Tierney was getting put on the ball a fair amount, and I think they fancied him to get a good bit of joy off of Taylor. But the thing with this Tierney that we've seen in this match is he's definitely got a good left foot. He's definitely got some elite technical ability, but he was no match for Taylor. Physically, man for man, running down this channel with scales covering inside as well. Rangers thought they were going to get a lot of joy down this side of the pitch here, and they got absolutely nothing. So much so when they tried going on the other side here with Matondo, Alistair Johnson just put him firmly in his pocket and said, mate, you're not even going to make it to half time. And then when they were going to try and press us, this three tried to come in and be a little bit more narrow and try and counteract us playing out from the back, and then try and make the most of any errors that happened whenever McGregor would drop in and try and, get the ball off the defence and work it into midfield. And, on paper, on the face of it, if you kind of look at the way all the dots are laid out on the screen now, for the most part, it's not a bad plan. It's not a bad strategy. They should have been able to smother the ball a lot better. But Celtic are just so good in possession, and are just the number one quality that we really showed in this team here is composure and its elite technical ability, where we were able to play it out of danger so easily, so often. Even if we had to go back to the goalkeeper, fine. But more often than not, playing out to our runner, maybe like a Bernardo, play it out wide for an Alistair Johnson. Taylor comes inside to help us overload the midfield a little bit to kind of help us stop helping it from becoming smothered. But the big thing that really undid any kind of plan that Rangers had coming into this game for me was Callum McGregor, because Bernardo did come into the O'Reilly position in this team, but as you've seen from all the final third contributions that he had, for me, he did great to dribble by those guys and get into the box for the shot, don't get me wrong, but he's not a final third player. He's not going to replace Matt O'Reilly's goal contribution. He's not going to be the same sort of player. We've seen that last year, and anyone thought that he would be the Matt O'Reilly replacement was really kidding themselves on. This midfield does need to evolve, and that evolution is what really undone Rangers here, and that was McGregor being fully off the leash. He was just running through the heart of the pitch, giving goes, playing the ball around the corner, attacking the space, and because he was doing that right through the middle of the pitch, right through the heart of the Rangers team, it just put the fear of God into them, because when you've then got the pace of Daizen Maeda, Kyogo, and Kuhn was amazing in here, the defence brick it, and they dropped deeper, and it just caused this huge gap in between defence and midfield, because Barron needs to be tight to someone, Diamande needs to be tight to someone, Sterling needs to be tight to someone, and when we're playing giving goes and playing around the corner or whatever, and then McGregor is going to just charge through the middle, game plan goes out the window as far as Rangers is concerned. Now, the first goal doesn't ultimately come from that, but it really stopped Rangers trying to press us, because they were just so terrified of getting pressed, or counter-pressed, gega-pressed, however you want to think of it. But for the first goal, it put a huge smile on my face because it was just straight off the training book. 3 players out here, third man run, getting into the box and then cutting it back for the back post striker coming inside of the pitch here. There's a chance just like this that went to begging, and obviously we had the chance that was called offside that I don't think we're all totally convinced was. The thing with that offside, right, is even though that picture might show he's offside, what we're never always sure on is what frame that they've freezed it on. Is it the actual frame that it should have? And I edit videos, so I know how volatile it could be just moving even 4 frames forward, you know, how quickly these players move and whatever. But anyway, that's for another day perhaps. And really getting that goal down this right hand side straight off the training pitch, like I say, it really did take the confidence out of Hefty, who's already on a booking here. And then guys like Proper and Suter are just chasing shadows and they're defending by themselves, and they've got like a real harassment problem here on the go. They've got so many people to deal with, the ball's moving so quickly and they're not getting any help, and really it could have been a sign of like an absolute avalanche kicking on here. I think the only thing that stopped this team really scoring a lot more, and I say this team Celtic, I think the only thing that stopped us scoring a lot more in the first half was that Bernardo did get nosebleeds a few times when he was on the edge of the box, giving a wee, you know, he was so terrified to play someone else or even turn around. He ended up doing a few 1-2s with McGregor, and then that chance, like I mentioned before, where he gets into the box. Like if O'Reilly was in this team, I think at half time it's 4-0, to be honest with you. Kyogo's goal was absolutely beautiful, but this was another goal where I just felt this is another example of the thing that gets my wick about Kyogo. It's a brilliant goal. He's a bona fide Hun scalper. He's lasered that ball in from 25-30 yards out into the bottom corner. But if you see it back, if you were watching at the time, you'll know this as well. It could be slipping Kuhn in for a dead easy 1v1. And he looks once, he looks twice, and he thinks, nah, I'm not passing, I'm shooting. And fair play to him on this one, because what a goal, what a memory. And you've got to think that if Rangers were in the stadium, they wouldn't have been for much longer. They might have been leaving there. But it really took the wind out of Rangers' sails. And, you know, as much as their plan, like we spoke about how they might try and get into this game here, we're really undone with the unleashing of McGregor, just going through the real heart of the game, right through the heart of the team here. Their kind of other plan that they were going to try and play on is in this one to try and get some space. Because when we were off the ball, these forwards... And Matondo didn't last the whole game, of course. Alistair Johnson pocketed him and then sent him to the bench not long afterwards. But they were going to be trying and be really narrow. And then when they were playing out from the back, they're waiting for us to bite. They're waiting for us to overcommit. And then they would be waiting for us to try and, you know, just break ranks. Somebody vacates a space. And then between one of these players here, they can get on the ball from defence. And then with another pass or two, try and get out to Tavernier or Czerny. And then have like a 2v2 situation. Or if they do it well enough, a 3v2, a 4v3, whatever it might be, and try and get some chances away there. But we didn't bite. And I've got to say, it was absolutely incredible discipline from the guys, absolute great game awareness and great intelligence where, you know, you'll remember the portion of the game I'm talking about where they wanted the ball and they were just kind of waiting for us to come and press them. They were just standing here, passing the ball left to right. This was at 0-0 in particular. You've got to think, wow, they're really happy with it being 0-0 at this point. And we're not going to bite because we know that you're not passing out of defence here because nothing is on. We have got all the passing lanes covered. We've got man marked. You've really got nowhere to go. So if you're going to try and, you know, dog us into coming and getting the ball, it's not going to happen because you're going to be under pressure before we will to actually get out of defence and try and, you know, actually play football. And with us not biting on the press and then with us being so amazingly press resistant in this kind of newfound McGregor role that we have alongside, you know, Taylor and Bernardo. Like I said, although Bernardo was kind of occupying O'Reilly's position, whenever McGregor was doing this, burning forward, it's not like Bernardo came right into cover for him, but he would pinch. He would just pinch inside and relative to the ball be ready to really recover into that space perhaps. But the more and more that this time is going to go on for me, Bernardo is going to be the sitter, Engels is going to be the sitter, and we're going to see McGregor and Hatate going forward more and more. But where I think this is a wee bit wonky is because McGregor isn't going to be replaced as being that metronome, being that central playmaker position to get us out of defence and into midfield. So we will need to work with this kind of lopsided midfield where we're allowing McGregor to travel with the ball and then we need someone else to pinch in and cover any spaces that might happen there. I think Hatate could have been a little bit better first half, but otherwise Kuhn was electric, Johnson was a man possessed, and nobody was getting anything out of Scales today. It was an absolute great performance from him as well. But when we get to the second half, they've been forced into making a change. First half, Matondo for McCausland, and then they bring on Lawrence for Diamande in an effort to try and reinvigorate the midfield. It's 2-0 down at this point. And I've got to say, Big Engels, you know, he didn't do anything that great. It wasn't like one of those historic, it wasn't like a Juninho. Remember Juninho's one game he played for us? It wasn't one like that, but he fitted straight into that same position. Out of possession, it's much more like a double pivot now, and we're leaving Hatate much higher up the pitch as like a creative, like attacking midfielder. But Engels definitely seems a lot more willing than Bernardo to travel with the ball the way that we've seen McGregor do in the first half. But I do think with the qualities that Engels has, and from the scout report, from the Bundesliga expert we got with Josh McCaffrey on the channel a few days ago, if you missed it, I'll link it at the end of this video. It's a great listen. Is it similar to Bernardo? Engels isn't going to be the O'Reilly replacement. He's not going to pick up his goals. He's not going to pick up his slack in terms of assists or whatever. He will contribute, of that there is no question, I think, even in this early stage. But he's not going to be O'Reilly. He's not going to do those numbers. We're going to get more out of Hatate. We're going to get more out of McGregor. We get Forrest on for Kuhn right before McGregor's absolute world day of a strike. Now, I know it takes a bit of a deflection, right? But the wee man thoroughly deserves it. Really enjoyed the celebration as well. You could just see the joy on his face, just absolutely oozing out of him, running around with that captain's armband on. He is one of us out there. There's no one better than Callum McGregor, and that was an absolute joy to see. But it felt like from that point onwards, it's game over, and we started to see a few more substitutions come into the fray. Maeda comes on for Kyogo, and McCowan comes on for Rio Hatate. Now, I did a video, I think we mentioned it maybe earlier on, analysing the transfer window. Are we now stronger coming out of the window than what we went into it? And one of the things I really wanted to mention in that video, and I'll bring it up again as a bit of a highlight here, is I think McCowan is much more like Hatate than he is like McGregor, and I do see him, and we've seen it in this game, him becoming the super sub for Hatate later on in the match. And he has really good energy. He's got really high desire, and I've always been impressed with him whenever we've played against Dundee. So great to see him get his debut here and playing in this position where, like, you know, this whole midfield now, McCowan, McGregor, Engels, Bernardo, Hatate, maybe you're going to put Odenholm into that reckoning as well. I think he's really out the picture now at this point. We're all playing guys that are like 5, 6 out of 10 for their defensive work, and then varying levels. I'd say Hatate and McGregor are very good attacking wise. McCowan's probably got a bit of that as well. But Engels and Bernardo, maybe they're not like 7 out of 10 attacking level like some of these other guys are. Feels like a lot of our midfielders are all quite similar. We don't have... O'Reilly was very versatile, so I don't even want to label him as being like an attacking midfielder as such. But we don't have an out-and-out defensive rock midfielder. We don't have... If you take Hatate out of it, we don't really have someone who could be that proper playmaker in the attacking sense, because we need McGregor deeper. And then these other players, Engels, Bernardo, McCowan, are more the link-up players, you know, the ones that link the team together from back to front rather than out-and-out creators. But McCowan really did show, you know, like a good little bit of zest and a good bit of vigour in this. It was good to see Maeda run down the channels and be a bit of a nuisance and all the rest of it as well. But I think this is kind of the shape that we're going to be much more familiar with seeing from Celtic as time goes on. Engels and McGregor a bit deeper out of possession, and then McCowan or Hatate up here doing the forward pressing job, trying to turn the ball over and playing it into the attacking wingers, Forrest, Daizen, Kuhn, Kyogo, Maeda, whoever it might be. And again, if we're doing this, like, Taylor did a really good job of doing a bit of the line hugger role, being an actual fullback once or twice. Maybe that's something that we'll come to see a bit more from Alex Valle, however you meant to say it, I'm not too sure. Because Taylor obviously is a bit famed at the moment for doing this job where he comes into the double pivot here. And if we're not pushing Engels forward, we need to be pushing McGregor forward to make that position still count. But if it's not the game for it, then that might be opening the door to Valle maybe getting some minutes and all the rest of it. But if Taylor can do this a little bit more to the sort of level we've seen today, Alistair Johnson can keep it up. It gives us nice symmetry on the wings, which is going to be something we might need going forward. And I think throughout this game, Rangers missed like 2 or 3 sitters. You know, we did kind of get off the hook a little bit. They did have a few chances where they could have got a goal back in the game. They could have lifted their spirits. Something else could have happened that, you know, tends to happen when they play other teams. Maybe not so much us over recent years where, you know, they get a goal through some fortuitous refereeing or something like that happens. So I think we did have a little tiny bit of luck on our side here, but I do think it was a lot down to the quality of Schmeichel as well as, you know, a lot of the defenders, because Scales and Carter Vickers, just nobody was getting by them. Alistair Johnson, it didn't matter if it was back here or up there, nobody was getting round him, nobody was running away from him. The effort we seen, like Kyogo tracking back as well, like, it just felt like we had an extra man all over the pitch. We were absolutely fantastic today, guys. And what a great way to send us off into the international break. We've broke our transfer record. We've spent a lot of money on a couple of players. And obviously we've had the big departure of Matt O'Reilly. But we've got our Champions League draw. We've got the fixture list. And we'll do this on a video. But the order of the fixtures, by the way, might actually help us get, you know, we all think we're going to get the points. But the way the fixtures roll out could be really good for us as well. And now we go into international break where a lot of these guys can bed in. They've tasted the fire of the derby, and it's all about getting set for one of the most critical parts of the season. After this international window, where it is Champions League, it's domestic, it's cup games, everything comes thick and fast, and it's going to be an absolute squad effort from start to finish, really. The first furlong, the first section of the season is in the books, and Celtic are on top of the league, looking down on the Rangers, and the only reason I can think is the form we have found since Brendan's been back around. But yeah, on screen now is some other stuff that we've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more content like this. Hail, hail, and we'll catch you on the next one.